You know the snap sound in your camera? That is the sound you hear when the shutter is opening and closing. Shutter speed is controlling the amount of time that the shutter is open. By adjusting the setting, you can capture different types of motion. Shutter speed is recognized in the camera and measured as fractions of a second. For example, you can recognize it on the camera as 1/100. Here is a mini activity to try before you move on. Try to identify your lowest and highest shutter speed on your camera. When you find it, take note that the bigger the number, the slower your shutter is, and the smaller the number, the faster your shutter is. In my camera, the biggest number is 1 second, and the smallest number is 1/4000. In this case of my camera, 1 second is letting in a lot of light because the camera shutter is slower, and that it's taking more time to close. While on 1/4000, it's not letting in as much light because it closes way faster. A great way to imagine it is thinking as if you're pouring water into a cup. The cup is your camera, and the pouring glass is light. If you tip it for a long time, you will be getting more water in comparison to tipping your water for a less number of time. To help you understand it further, let's go on to Canon Play. When we are on the website, the slowest shutter speed is 1 second, and the fastest is 1/4000. Make sure you are on manual setting when you're trying this, and do not adjust the aperture or ISO. The activity is to try settings 1/60, and 1/4000. Then take note of the differences once you select on the blue camera button. Notice that when you are on 1, the image comes out too bright, also known as overexposure, and when you're on 1/4000, the image comes out too dark, also known as underexposed. The reason the photo comes out too dark or light is because we need to adjust the two other settings in order to balance out the current environment. So when you are taking your photo, use the manual setting when you need to adjust all three settings in order to get the best quality output. Once you've identified your highest and lowest shutter speed and how much light it controls, you need to understand that the lower the shutter, the more motion you capture, and the higher the shutter, the faster it is and the less motion you capture. When you capture an image with a slow shutter, we will capture more motion, and the photo will appear to have a motion blur. As it progressively increases, the faster shutter speed will get the exact motion and you won't get any motion blur at all. Take note that just because you want to capture something that is moving fast or slow, it doesn't mean you need to adjust your shutter to the slowest and highest speed of your camera. To help you understand it further, let's go on to Canon Play. This time, we're going to be clicking on the Shutter Priority tab. Shutter Priority is a setting in your camera that allows you to focus on the shutter speed of your camera. It is recognized as TV on Canon and S on Nikon. The reason why you would want to use Shutter Priority is so that when there's an instance you are at an event or covering a sports event, you won't have much time to adjust to the lighting and you only want to focus on capturing the motion. The shutter priority setting will ensure that your photo turning out overexposed or underexposed. And that is it for shutter, the setting which will allow you to control how fast the shutter is open.